For the third part, we introduced our friends and colleagues from the Austrian Sustainable Building Council and asked them what do they want to focus on. And I'm happy to introduce Petra Kühnel, who's head of the EU Taxonomy Department at ÖGNI. And when I saw it on the list, what you want to talk about, I wasn't too much surprised, because just to give you some background story, and after the criteria of the EU taxonomy for buildings came up, we had a common study with more than 60 projects from 10 countries, and we looked deeply in those projects whether the criteria are really ready for the market. And after that, we decided together under the umbrella of CEPIR and the DGNB system partners to launch a new offer, which is called the ESG verification on the EU taxonomy. And the front runners in putting this offer to the market were you from the ÖGNI at Austria. And Petra, you will give us some insights in how it worked and how it is working until now in Austria and dealing with this ESG verification on the EU taxonomy. So really looking forward to your insights in your speech now.
Thanks, Dirk, for this short introduction. Yes, hello everyone and welcome to my presentation. We will now move to a different topic, EU taxonomy. In this slot, I will give you insights into how we at ÖGNI conduct independent third-party verification for the real estate sector in Austria. As we assume that there is already basic knowledge of the taxonomy framework, we only have structured this presentation to focus on the verification process here at ÖGNI. Here you find my contact details on this slide, just in case you need to reach for further questions. In order to understand how ÖGNI verifies projects, we first have to look at the legal structure of the taxonomy as it stands today. The taxonomy operates on 3 levels. Level 1, laser pointer. Level 1 is the taxonomy framework regulation issued 2020 and applicable since 2021. It defines the overall structure and the 6 environmental objectives here in the graphic, and the 4 criteria, 1, 2, 3, 4, an activity has to fulfill in order to be considered as taxonomy aligned. All 4 criteria have to be met, meaning the assessment of the taxonomy follows a strict binary yes or no logic, and activity either is compliant or non-compliant. The second level of the framework consists of the delegated acts. And here it's very important to distinguish between 2 key dimensions. First, the dimension of the classification itself. It's defined by the 2 delegated acts, Climate Delegated Act and Environmental Delegated Act, and sets out the technical screening criteria that apply at the activity level. Secondly, the taxonomy reporting dimension under Article 8, which applies at the entity level and requires companies covered by CSRD to disclose their taxonomy KPIs such as turnover, capex, opex, green asset ratio by using specific templates. This distinction is fundamental since we at ÖGNI only verify compliance, here highlighted in red, compliance with the technical screening criteria at the activity level. We do not verify whether the subsequent reporting, a taxonomy reporting, conducted properly. The taxonomy is designed as a dynamic framework, subject to regular review by the European Commission, advised by the expert group PSF, Platform on Sustainable Finance. On this slide, you can see the amendments that have been made since the implementation of the taxonomy. There has been 3 cycles, update cycles so far, 2022, 2023, and this year as part of the omnibus. Another update is expected probably this year based on a proposal on the PSF report of April this year. This slide provides an overview of the current taxonomy eligible, because the framework is still evolving. That's the current status of the taxonomy eligible sections and economic activities. Our sector, here in green highlighted, currently has the potential to make substantial contribution. It's one of the criteria you have to fulfill to 3 objectives. Number 1, climate change mitigation. Number 2, climate change adaptation. And number 4, to circular economy, which is part of the Environmental Delegated Act. Looking at the underlying activities within this sector, currently 7 activities are defined under Section 7 of the Climate Delegated Act, and 5 activities are defined under Section 3 of the Environmental Delegated Act. The activities highlighted in red are those ones that are currently covered by our third-party verification. On this slide, we present the color code logic we used in our practical guidance. We published regarding the technical screening criteria in December 2024. The aim was to visualize which objectives, we have 6 so far, apply to each of the 3 activities covered by the third-party verification. For instance, blue stands for new construction and requiring the consideration of all 6 objectives. Green stands for renovation. In this case, 5 objectives are relevant to consider. Yellow one is acquisition and ownership and focusing only for objective 1, because here it's yellow, and objective 2, yellow as well. Please note, and it's very important, here highlighted in red, ÖGNI no longer verifies minimum safeguards according to Article 18, effective since July 2024. This decision is based on the fact that the minimum safeguards compliance must be assessed at the entity level and not on the activity level. Verifying social standards or tax compliance requires expertise typically provided by lawyers, tax advisors, or management consultants. Nevertheless, we published a practical guidance as well in January last year together with PwC. You can find all these publications on our website if you are interested to look up. Now let's have a look at our numbers and the trends since we began conducting verification in Austria at ÖGNI in 2022. In total, we have 146 registrations for taxonomy verification. The majority, of course, are falling under acquisition and ownership. But let's focus on year 2024 with the total number of 52. In the orange section here on the bottom left, you can see the alignment status for this year. 44 projects were fully taxonomy aligned, while 2 projects were partially aligned and 3 were found non-compliant. In the green section on the right side, we see how much projects were certified according to DGNB system and verified at the same time, since in this case, no additional fee will be charged by ÖGNI for the taxonomy verification. Out of total 52, nearly 40% in total 20 projects were certified and verified at the same time. For new construction, it's 5 certifications out of 8 verification and 30 certifications building in use versus 42 verification. To ensure quality in verification, we at ÖGNI established a 2-step training program for taxonomy, illustrated here in the blue section. The first step is the basic training. The course is designed for all real estate professionals who simply need a solid understanding of the framework. It's covered only the basics. The second one, training is for taxonomy advisors. It's an advanced level and mandatory to become a licensed advisor, so-called EU taxonomy advisor approved by ÖGNI, because only this expert is entitled to submit projects for verification at ÖGNI. As ÖGNI, we do not operate in isolation. We implemented a technical and strategic board at a very early stage. While the technical board tackles practical interpretation question once a month with us, the strategic board only served as a kind of sort of market listening platform and consists of representatives from asset manager, developers, banks, or investors. Of course, we coordinate closely with our partners, the European and international green buildings partners, as stated here, SIPIA, World GBC, DGNB as our partners, and the other GBCs, Spain, Croatia, or Denmark. We want to ensure that our verification is transparent, standardized, and fully traceable even years later. We therefore developed a verification document package here in green covered, and it's covering the entire process. It consists of these core elements. The rule book, as the name indicates, it sets out the rules. For instance, how documents must be named and structured. The registration form, which includes preliminary questions to assess whether a project is eligible for verification in principle. The verification Excel doc, which outlines the specific requirements depending on the activity, and the advisor is required to complete the yellow sections with relevant responses and reference to the specific documents where evidence of compliance can be found. We support this process by providing dynamic templates for selected requirements. In addition, we also developed an assessor manual. This manual must be signed at the end of the verification by our external verifiers. It also serves for documentation to record which requirements have been fulfilled, which are not, and what's the reason if not fulfilled. ÖGNI, of course, performs preliminary and final as a 4 eyes verifier. The final outcome of our verification process is this 2-pager, so-called taxonomy verification, issued and signed by us, by ÖGNI. This document provides written confirmation of project compliance with the technical screening criteria at the activity level. That's the classification dimension mentioned before. The verification reflects the alignment status at the time of submission based on the criteria applicable at that time. It serves as well as documentary evidence and can be used and reused for taxonomy reporting. That's the second dimension we talked about before. There you can use it for written evidence as long, and that's very important, as long there are no material changes to the underlying project information on which the verification was based on. Of course, the verification also includes the note mentioned before that ÖGNI does not verify minimum safeguards anymore, and the assessment has to be provided separately by the client. That's this statement here. While ÖGNI previously issued verification only for fully compliant, because as we know, it's a binary system, since April last year, we have also issued verification in case of partial taxonomy alignment, limited only to new construction and renovation, not for acquisition and ownership. Such verification that does not constitute confirmation because it's a binary system. A project is either compliant or non-compliant. The partial alignment verification transparently shows which criteria are fulfilled and which are not. Here you see the red button, and non-compliant objectives are clearly highlighted in red in this verification. This approach increases market transparency, and based on this information, banks or investors assess the remaining risk and decide how to deal with them in their financing decision. That was the purpose of issuing such a verification as well. Since November last year, ÖGNI offers a further verification so-called re-verification. It's only limited for acquisition and ownership. It's designed for projects that have already successfully completed an initial taxonomy verification at ÖGNI. The service was developed in response to requests from our members for this kind of service. And following the clarification from the FAQs issued by the EU in the official journal, which addresses the question of how often a verification needs to be carried out. And the answer has been as long as there are no material changes underlying the initial verification. Otherwise, a re-verification is required. And that's the reason why we launches this kind of verification as well. A very common question we encounter is whether ÖGNI certification automatically implies taxonomy alignment. Our answer is always no, because certification and verification are based on two entire different assessment systems and different logics. The DGNB certification we used at ÖGNI as well is a voluntary performance-based scoring system. You have here the awards you can achieve depending on the fulfillment rate. It's about points you achieve. In contrary, the taxonomy, it's a legal framework defined strictly by the European Commission, and it's strictly binary system. Either the activity is compliant or not compliant. There are no kind of awards depending on how good you are or how good your building is. However, while they follow different rules, they form as a perfect symbiosis for sustainable building. And it's very important to stress this out because we strongly recommend pursuing both together. Because as already mentioned, one major advantage, if you verified and certified at the same time and submit at the same time, no additional fee will be charged. And a taxonomy verified project may lead to additional points, for instance, for the building in use certifications. And therefore, it's very important to emphasize both of them are necessary to create a sustainable building. I think I'm at the end of my presentation, very short. The aim was to keep it short and simple. Thank you so much for your interest and attention, and feel free to contact or ask me any question.
Thank you, Petra, for the insights, and it's good to see that we're quite very, very similar in how we do it at DGNB and how you do it at ÖGNI. What's quite funny to see is, or maybe also funny to see for you at ÖGNI, that we just a few weeks ago somehow adapted our own training courses, that we do not have the DGNB ESG manager on a national level anymore, but brought it that we on the one hand have a DGNB auditor for buildings in use, on the other hand DGNB proved experts for the EU taxonomy, just like your taxonomy advisor. Do you have a number of how many trained people you have there, and is there any is it still stable, the figure of how many people are interested in getting trained there?
I think it's nearly 400 so far. We started the program because I joined ÖGNI at October 2023. But I think the numbers have been nearly to 300 to 400 advisors we already have in place.
I guess this is also for us when we talk about the numbers of experts that we have on the different level, that it's good that there are enough experts in the market to also, when more interest come into this because of the builders or the investors know that they need to verify on the EU taxonomy, that there are enough people available also in your country. And what I also really liked is that at the very end you pointed out this, how does it work together with certification, because I guess this is somehow of a problem of the DGNB system, that we always, with each and every adaptation, like what we have just made together with you and the other colleagues from other international system partners, we always look on those legal requirements, regulatory requirements, and that we bring it into our own criteria, so that you do not document only for DGNB or ÖGNI, but that you have some sort of a one-stop shop also here to have this verification that is been needed for reporting issues, for finance and so on and so forth. So really was good to see how you proceed there, and we're really thankful that you push this topic into the market as intensively as you did in Austria. So Petra, thanks a lot.